Namaste. I'm Vivek Govekar. Welcome to the Kundalini podcast. That was Zen. This is Tao. This is episode 21, and keeping with the theme of walking around with my camera, that's a Wing Chun dummy in the back. I also practice Wing Chun, which is a form of Kung Fu that Bruce Lee practiced. Uh, anyways, this is about my Kundalini awakening, and the last video I made it in the park and moved around with my camera, my iPhone camera. And so I thought, decided to maybe just make one more like that, just walking around, holding the video or holding the camera, and let's see how that works. Instead of just the same old, same old. All right, and now I'm back to my old position from the other videos. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about, and I have been asked about, is one of the methods I mentioned, and everyone mentions when you're talking about yoga or Kundalini or any kind of spiritual process related to these practices, yogic practices that end in a Kundalini awakening, obviously, meditation is your number one thing that people talk about and practice. So the confusion or the questions begin when people kind of start asking you, what are the different methods of meditation? What would you like to use? Or why meditate in a certain way? Or what's better? How is it better to meditate this way versus that way? So someone will ask me about transcendental meditation. Someone else will ask me about breath meditation and different kinds of meditation. So here's my answer. Not just about meditation, but even about yogic practices, like the physical practices. Do not have a rigid concept about which practice to use. That would be less beneficial. Let's put it that way. Do not have a concept about any of these methods, meditation or the physical exercises, which require you to do something or fit into something that you may not be comfortable with. Okay, I'm going to start with the example of meditation and then apply that same principle to yoga or physical practices. Why are we doing all of this in the first place? Okay, I'm going to put a link to my blog post about integral yoga. Integral yoga is when you take different types of yoga: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, and jnana yoga. These are four forms of yoga. Most people just know the physical practices. You do the poses and you stay fit, right? Which is fine for people who want fitness. But if you're looking for a Kundalini awakening, or why are these yogic postures important during a Kundalini awakening? I have mentioned this before in one of my videos. Is because kriyas, which is when the energy awakens in you, it is moving on its own autonomously all the time. And the kriyas, which is where it wants your body to bend, is those poses. That's someone went through the kriyas and said, okay, let me put them together as poses. So that when you awaken, you have the flexibility to do that. So you need to be physically fit. Now, back then, maybe that was the only way to do it. And that is still the best way to approach it if you want a Kundalini awakening to go smoothly and precisely. But today, we have calisthenics. There's a type of exercise called isometrics, which Bruce Lee used to use. Yoga, Pilates. What else? Just stretching of different kinds. That's going to keep you limber and fit. And that should be enough. You don't have to go through yoga. And why I'm saying that is because your body may adapt better to that method, the other method, not just yoga. Or you may prefer doing those methods, or you may have done them in school as a gymnast or something else, some other sports activity. You may have done those. Nothing wrong with any of those methods. You need to be flexible, fit, and limber. Otherwise, when the energy awakens, you're going to have a lot of problems. First of all, if you're an unfit person, it's less likely to awaken in the first place. But if it does, and you're out of shape, lots of trouble. I was a bodybuilder. I was a martial artist. I still am. But back then I was more intensely into those things. I played golf. I used to play soccer when I was in school. I was a bicycle racer. So bunch of different athletic activities, jogging, you know. And I was always fit. I never actually gave up any of those things until my Kundalini awakened. Of course, you don't do them with the same intensity as you did back when you were in school or younger. But still, that fitness level was high. And still, I found it difficult when the Kundalini awakened to do all the contortions. I had even done yoga before. So that's why you need to do some kind of physical activity that will keep you fit, limber, ready for that kriyas, those kriyas. Same thing after the awakening. Then if you start doing yoga, then if you start doing whatever. In fact, after you awaken, you don't need to do anything specifically and you don't need to be good at every single yoga posture. This is the fun part. The Kundalini energy, if you go to a class before an awakening, yoga teacher will teach you every single thing and methodically you'll be good at every one of those postures, which is good. It will make you healthier. But for the awakening, for its purposes, it only does whatever is needed. So if you have blockages down here, up here, here, the twisting and turning will be related to what your individual blockages are. And only that. So you may say, hey, I did all of these postures and now I'm only contorting in this. That's fine. Be thankful that at least you're contorting easily, flexibly for those required areas where the energy wants those blockages removed. That's enough. It's the same thing with meditation. I was not a meditation expert. I had tried it a couple of times before my awakening. Your chosen method, because I was weak at meditation. I was strong, let's say. I'm strong at the physical stuff because I had been athletic before. I was weak at pranayama and the body was doing automatic, what is called kumbhak and rechak, which is holding on to the breath and exhaling, inhaling, all those pranayama things. I had to learn afterwards and somewhat easily learn to do those because they are not as difficult either. And especially if you're an athletic person, you've kind of learned them before. Through physical exercise, your breathing patterns can be modified easily. Meditation is the most difficult part. I had a very quick mind that moved from place to place, and I later discovered I was a very gullible person, easily fooled, easily led, easily misled. And all of that was my weak muscle. So meditation became very difficult for me to adapt to and to find the right method for myself. Now, I had not done TM, I had not done any kind of meditation. The only type I knew was breath meditation. So started with that. Didn't work very well for me. Just sitting there breathing, not working. Then I found another method called Tratak, which is you stare at something, either a flame or some kind of a yantra, the Sri yantra, or something, some figure. And that is one form of meditation. I found another method which involved music, guided sounds. Multiple different CDs, one by Deepak Chopra, which is a chakra meditation, one by a person called Glenn Harold, another that's again called chakra meditation. This one involved affirmations along with the guided meditation, where he told you focus on this, listen to this music, go this way. Was a lot easier to do it that way. Another one called Waking the Cobra, specifically tuned, specifically geared towards the Kundalini awakening, by a person called Baird Hersey. You can get all of these on iTunes, by the way. So I experimented with all of these and eventually started figuring out which one would put me in the best meditative state and which one would put what different flavors of meditation. One is affirmation based, one is relaxation based, one puts you in a trance, one is simply just Tibetan bowls going boom, boom, and removing all your thoughts and slowly putting you into that state. And those work the best for me. Guided, some kind of sound involved, and I still use just those. So, nothing wrong with that. You don't have to go through TM. You don't have to go through breath meditation. Otherwise, it's all wrong. No, you have to meditate though. If you're not used to it, like I wasn't, and it happens accidentally, and you awaken your Kundalini accidentally. I'm jumbling my words. Anyways, if you awaken your Kundalini accidentally, find a way that works for you, and that might be your strength or weakness. Some others might find that your kriyas, your physical abilities might be your strength or weakness. But meditation pranayama or breath control, and some physical activity like yoga, which requires flexibility, not just bodybuilding, which requires weights. No, flexibility, something that improves your flexibility and something that allows you to contort in those positions that the kriyas are taking you in. Automatically, the body will do that automatically. You just have to go along. Finding these three things is important, but you'll be stronger at one, weaker at the other. Who knows? So, for that purpose, I am saying you go through different methods, find what works for you, for your awakening. The method is not important. You don't have to conform to the method, especially with meditation. You have to use whatever puts you in a meditative state the fastest, what is easiest to learn. So, someone who just does breath meditation and goes in faster because of years of practice is not better than someone who just does guided meditation. That's not that's not a bicycle with training wheels. It's okay. Whatever takes you there, doesn't matter which one it is. So take the rigidity out of that. Make it easy on yourself. And that's the point I was trying to make with this video. So anybody that asks me about methods, you choose the method of meditation. I'm not going to tell you, even though I use the guided meditations, I'm not going to say use those and only those. I'm going to say try those, see if they work, otherwise use something else. But a practice of meditation done daily, done twice a day, or however long it takes to still your mind, a practice of mindfulness, so that when you go out, you are slowly putting yourself back and mindfully being aware of your surroundings at all times. As I've said in a video before, what you do with meditation for 20 minutes is your laboratory. From that lab, you're taking it outside and you're using mindfulness. You're using alternate nostril breathing. So it's all 24 hours of a day, or however long you're awake in those 24 hours, that you need to use the methods, especially after the awakening. It's a need, it's a must. That's how you assimilate the energy. Affirmations, meditation, pranayama or breath control, and some kind of physical exercise that requires flexibility and allows the energy to flow easier or builds on your flexibility. Don't be rigid. Some people are even more rigid about meditation is only sitting down like this. I do mine lying down. I do mine in the shower when the music is playing in the background. I find myself going into a trance much easier that way. It is up to you. But beware if you're in a prone sleeping position that you don't fall asleep and you're actually meditating. Okay, so basic common sense like that. Goal should be meditation, and whatever works is best. Whatever doesn't work or makes you fall asleep or doesn't take you in that trance state fast enough, drop it, try something else. Okay, so I hope that was helpful about some of the methods and how rigidly you have to follow them and which one is the best. It's up to you. Trial and error, decide. Consistency is more important. Doing it every day, bringing yourself to do it every day for 20 minutes is more important. Inculcating that discipline is more important. And there, my being an athlete, a bodybuilder, martial artist came in handy, because if you've been practicing something for 8, 10, 12, 20 years, obviously for the first 6, 7 months, 8 months, you have somehow brought yourself to go and do it every day. The difference between an athlete, someone who becomes good at it, and someone who doesn't is someone who drops out. Or, in my case, you drop out, come back, drop out, come back, and eventually it just becomes your life. Then there's no dropping out from it. You just wake up and do those things. Okay, so for me, it was just modifying from bodybuilding to yoga type practices. That's it. But the discipline and consistency is more important than which method you end up using. That will depend on your personality, what works best for you. Okay, I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions, comments, please leave them down in the comment section. Again, this is Vivek Govekar saying namaste. Be well.